Trey Wallace here, along with another SEC sit-down series. This time, happy to be joined by Tennessee football head coach Josh Heupel. Josh, how are you?
Doing great. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. I wanted to get kind of right into this thing when it comes to Tennessee spring football and what you are building at the university. And, you know, on an everyday approach basis, how different is it for you right now compared to everything that you were going through when you kind of first took the job in those first 2 or 3 months last year?
Yeah, different for me, different for our staff, different for our players too. I think first and foremost, just the relationships that we've built and the trust that we have inside the building are completely different, and that correlates to how we approach everything we're doing, including our practices. And guys have been awesome here the first couple of days. It's been a lot of fun. They're a great group to be around. Their work habits, their competitiveness, been great. At the same time, it's completely different in everything that we're doing. Just from the standpoint of the strides that we made in year one, a ton of uncertainty when we took over the job, and been able to have a product on the field that people understand, they recognize, they know the exciting way that we're going to play in all three phases, and the type of culture that we've built. And for that reason, the recruiting side of it's been a lot of fun this year as well.
Going back to last year, and I hate looking in rearview mirrors, but it kind of gets us to where we are today. Is there and I know it's hard for a head coach to answer this question, but is there a specific moment in either the season or in preseason fall camp where you were like, okay, we're going to be fine here. We're going to be okay. Like this thing.
I don't know if you ever feel that way as a coach. You're constantly pushing ahead, but
as like a team though, like, trying to figure it all out of the offense or getting everything going. I know it's always a work in progress, but there's got to be like that, okay, put my shoulders down just for a second kind of moment.
Yeah, I think, when we finished spring ball and the way they came back in the summer, their commitment to each other gave us a great hope that we had a chance to continue to climb and put ourselves in a great position. I think once we got into the season, in some ways, the setback at Florida and the way that our kids came into the building that following Monday, we were able to show each other how we could improve, how we can control the game. And even though the score didn't end up the way that we wanted, we weren't that far away at the same time. And the way that we propelled forward from that moment, just in the course of the week of the preparation for the next game, gave us all, I think, a great sense of hope. I think, one of the things that stood out to me as far as the growth inside of our program is just the way we played and competed when we went on the road at Kentucky, and some early success, some hard things that happened later in the ball game. Defensively, you got a chance to get off the field. We don't. Then we're able to reset right away afterwards and play 4 straight plays of great defense and win the football game. It just showed the growth of our football team. So that's, one of the moments, or some of the moments, that kind of stick out to me.
It's never just one player on the football team. It never will be. But you're a quarterback guy, and you played for a long time. You coached it for a long time. In your opinion, how, I guess, unstressful is it for you to know that, okay, I don't have to worry about, and there's always competition, so I want to put this the right way, but also not having to worry about, okay, I don't have to go find another starting quarterback right now. Like, I don't have to go find another leader, because it seems like Hendon just took that step last season for you guys. How big is that going into spring, into summer, even though you're trying to still find that competition boundary?
Yeah, as a head coach, as an assistant coach, nobody in the building's resting on anything that happened last year. We know that our competitive spirit and how we approach every day takes us to where we want to be. At the same time, Hendon coming back has allowed us to continue to grow at that position. He's really focused and has great work habits. The other side of it is just his leadership inside of our program. Coming back in January has been big and been a big part of us continuing to grow as a football team.
Josh, how are you guys adjusting, in year 2 as coaches? You bring on a new wide receivers coach, but not technically, he's not new. He's been around the program, have been around you. How have you guys taken that step from when the season ended last year and everybody took a little break to where we are right now heading into, next week of spring practice?
Yeah, I think the familiarity that everybody has with everybody on staff really coming back allows us to dive deeper into the details. We're in sync as a coaching staff, in a much greater way than we even were when we finished the season. And the same for our football team. They have great trust and can communicate openly and honestly with each other. Our position rooms continue to grow in the right direction because of that. It's unique that, for all the turnover that this program had seen, for our players that have been here for a while, for there really not to be much of that, I think just, continues to build upon the things that we put in place a year ago, and excited about that. Everyone's pushing, working, striving to continue to make the strides that we need to as a football program, and excited about where we're at today, but where we're going.
This will be an interesting one in the long process. How did you navigate the ongoing investigation into the program that you weren't involved in, but you were having to pay the price for, in a sense?
Yeah.
But I mean that in a way of, how did you navigate the decisions to be like, okay, you know what, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the punch on the chin right now, where we don't have to take that punch on the chin, 2 years from now. Because there's a lot of different, and I know you can't go into them all, and you're not going to, but there's a lot of different, recruiting restrictions or how many players you have on your roster that goes into these type of decisions. How did y'all sit down and all right, we're going to navigate through this, but we're going to do it right now. We're not waiting.
Yeah, for me, our administration and, from our president to our chancellor to our athletic director, being able to have a real communication and line of communication with them allowed me to, as leader of this program, to kind of see where we're at, where we think it's going to be. I've said from the very beginning, I thought it was a small speed bump for this program because of that trust with them. Been able to navigate those waters really pretty efficiently. I think, we were able to put ourselves in some unique positions that, I think are going to pay dividends for this program moving forward. Some things that we were able to kind of swallow up in year one, and we're kind of off and running and full steam ahead at this point.
I want to talk to you about NIL for a minute. Because we heard your counterpart Lane Kiffin talking about it the other day. And then we had heard the comments, and I know you probably did, from Jimbo on National Signing Day and others in the league about NIL. But when you're looking at it right now as a head coach, and as something that is really new to college football, and everybody's still learning. I talked to Chancellor Dondi Plowman about this a week and a half ago. And she said, yeah, there needs to be some kind of regulations, but it's also still so new, and we're just getting used to it now in college football. How do you talk about NIL? How do you embrace NIL and understand that this is the new way of college football?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a complete slide, a shift in college football, that happened last summer. I think everybody's still continuing to figure out how to navigate those waters and do it in a way that allows you to build your team the best that it can be and to become your best when you get on the field. I've said from the very beginning, that I think Tennessee is uniquely situated in the NIL landscape because of the power of our fan base, the size of it, and the unique place that we reside in Knoxville. And I think there's real personal and professional growth opportunities for our players while they're here and when they're done playing. And the NIL landscape affords them a unique opportunity as well. And we've completely embraced it. It is, the culture that is in college football at this point. And I've said it, I look back on my playing career, I wish I would have been able to take advantage of some of those things too. And I think, the positive that nobody's talking about is just, the maturity and focus on the future that young people are coming into the programs with, understanding that, everything that they do on and off the field, affects, their brand. And our kids have handled it in a really positive way up until this point. I see our biggest, opportunity or thing that we're most responsible for is continuing to educate them and put them in a position of understanding, the global landscape of it and making sure that they're doing things the right way.
Josh, is there something you have to do special when it comes to, and I don't, not special, but so last year, you had a lot of star players on the team that were able to get involved in the NIL process, going forward. Is there something that you have to do, or have you noticed that the players kind of handle it themselves when it comes to not worrying about, okay, this guy's making this much, this guy's making this much? Has that gotten into the locker room, or do you feel like it's all being kind of handled, within each other?
Well, it is different for college athletes to have to deal with that in some ways. And it's really similar to a professional locker room. At the end of the day, I think it's important that you educate them, that you talk about, that we're still a team. I think it's really important that you build a really strong culture and they understand, the sense of brotherhood that's got to reside inside of the locker room. And up until this point, our guys have handled it in a really mature way. But you want to be open, transparent, and have an open dialogue with them as well, and make sure that our football team stays cohesive and together, and we continue to grow and push on the things that matter the most. And those things haven't changed inside of college football. You want to make sure that they're growing, academically, socially, and then at the same time, you're trying to push together and grow, on the football side of it.
Few questions left, Coach. I really appreciate you joining. This is how important to you is it for the players to find their own leaders within themselves compared to the coaches having to do it? And I guess that starts in winter workouts and leads into spring.
Yeah, for sure. We did last year, we did a lot of team building exercise. Some of that was focused on the leadership side of it. In year one, inevitably, a lot of it's got to be coach led because it's your players' first time through it. And in every phase of your off season or even during the season, there's a lot of unknowns, and so they're looking to you, the head coach and the position coach, for a lot of leadership through those things. As we continue to grow, I think our leadership is going to take a stronger and stronger hold inside of the locker room. We spend a lot of time during the off season trying to build those things, giving them opportunities to succeed and fail and learn from those failures in those roles, being able to take ownership of it. And, we talk a lot that championship cultures or championship teams, it comes from a sense of an accountability and leadership from within the locker room. If it's ever going to be coach driven, it's never going to work at the level that we want it to here at Tennessee. And so it's got to come from the players within.
Josh, were you surprised that the NCAA decided not to do anything about the, we'll just call them delaying games that you experienced last year? Are you and as a football coach, because I know you present things, and I know you the head coaches meet, you talk about it, and there's only a certain amount of teams that run the type of offense that you run. So does that, first off, does that affect your approach to anything when it comes to your offense? And then second, do you expect something in the near future to come down about that?
I think at the forefront of everybody's mind in college football is player safety, and so trying to navigate those waters, everyone's trying to find a way to navigate them the correct way. At the same time, yes, I expect them to do something about what's transpiring in some of those football games and continue to try to have the integrity of the game played at the highest level. And then, the next thing is our fans just need to make sure that they're hydrated and ready to sit in stands for 4 hours. Our games tend to take a little bit longer than everybody else.
I mean, it also adds in a couple different things, but that's okay. That plays out. Hey, last question. When you look at your offense going forth, and I know Tim Bakes does an incredible job with your defense, but when you're having to replace players like Javonte Payton or Velus Jones at the wide receiver spot, and this is kind of a two-parted kind of question here. How big is that for somebody to step up into that role? But also, how do you approach the transfer portal in the spring right now as other teams around the country are going about it the same way you are, knowing that, okay, maybe we got to go do some work once spring practice is over?
Yeah, a year ago you saw us sign, I think 8 guys after spring ball finished as our roster. We had to continue to add pieces to that. Most of that played a lot of pivotal roles last year. Some of those guys are going to continue to grow in their roles here as their careers unfold. For us offensively, and I'm just going to say this, the tough thing and the great thing about college football is, a quarter of your roster essentially is turning over every single year. So that provides great opportunity to the young guys inside of your locker room, both to get on the field and then develop into leaders inside of your locker room too. Obviously the 2 guys that you talked about played at a really high level for us. It's a challenge for us this spring to have competition for our guys to grow and, for multiple guys to step up and show that they're going to be ready to compete at a championship level. That's the one position on offense where we lost a couple of main pieces. We're in a similar situation to where we were a year ago. And the question being outside of our program, who are the guys that are going to fill those roles and be ready to step up and have big seasons? We had guys step up and do that last spring and last summer and last fall and showed in the productivity. We anticipate and expect those guys to step up into those roles again this year.
Had one quick little last thing. How big is it for you to work in cohesion with the athletic department, the administration side of it, the academic side of it, everybody working together as one for one common goal?
Absolutely. The reason I chose came here is because of the power of the T. The fan base is as good as there is in college football, and the environment and the resources that we have are elite. So when you have an administration that's completely in sync, and I mentioned our president, our chancellor, and our athletic director. You have a clear vision of where you want to go, and you know that you're all working towards the same thing. That gives you the ability to go chase it every day. We've hired a great staff. We have a great staff. And, that transcends down to every department inside of our football program. And it's a ton of fun being here right now because we have great energy inside of the building and everybody's working towards the same common goal. So excited about the future of Tennessee football.
Hey, Josh, you had a birthday. Did you do anything fun?
Yeah, yeah. I got out of the office about 9:15 and got a chance to see my kids for a little bit. It was a good day. That's great day. We started with spring ball, so day one of spring ball always is a good birthday gift.
There you go. Josh Heupel, head coach, University of Tennessee. Thank you for sitting down with us today. Hope you have a fantastic and good luck this spring.